On May 15, 2026, a single remark in a courtroom sparked an internet meme. Exactly 10 weeks later, that meme forced a cabinet minister to resign and brought a nationwide agitation to a close. The crisis began during a Supreme Court hearing. Chief Justice Surya Kant, while discussing a case, compared some unemployed young people and social media activists to cockroaches and parasites. The Chief Justice later clarified his statement. He explained that his criticism was aimed specifically at individuals using fraudulent degrees to enter professions like law, and that he actually held the nation's youth in high regard. But the legal context of the original quote failed to stop its spread. The phrase immediately resonated with millions of young Indians facing unemployment, creating a localized grievance that quickly escaped the court's control. The very next day, on May 16th, digital communications strategist Abhijeet Dipke leaned into the insult. He launched the Cockroach Janta Party. To be clear, the CJP is a satirical internet movement. It is not registered with the Election Commission of India, and it does not appear on any official ballot. Despite its origins in satire, the movement's online footprint expanded rapidly. Within days of its creation, the CJP's Instagram account surpassed the official handles of major ruling parties, accumulating over 21 million followers. Young people took the Chief Justice's label and turned it into a badge of honor. If the system viewed them as pests, they would adopt the cockroach as a symbol of their ability to survive in a hostile economic environment. By weaponizing a joke, Dipke's movement bypassed traditional organizing entirely, achieving a scale of mass digital mobilization that established political machines spend millions to replicate. The online momentum soon materialized into physical space, with authorities granting the CJP permission to set up protest camps at Jantar Mantar in New Delhi. The focus of the crowds narrowed significantly following widespread reports of leaked entrance examination papers, which had forced millions of students to retake tests for medical colleges and government jobs. Their July 15th charter demanded a new transparency law, an overhaul of the National Testing Agency, a students' rights charter, a welfare fund, and permanent parliamentary oversight. This actionable charter actively separated the group's strict policy objectives from their humorous online manifesto. By putting concrete legislative demands on paper, the CJP discarded its status as an internet nuisance and positioned itself as a coordinated political organization. The crowds at Jantar Mantar grew larger after June 28th, when prominent Ladakhi environmental activist Sonam Wangchuk arrived at the site. Wangchuk escalated the demonstration by beginning an indefinite hunger strike, calling specifically for the resignation of the country's education minister. Tensions peaked on July 20th during the Sansad Chalo march. Thousands of demonstrators attempted to push through security barricades on their way to Parliament. Delhi police deployed tear gas and batons to disperse the crowd. In the aftermath, protest organizers and police officials issued entirely conflicting accounts regarding whether the march had permission, who initiated the force, and the total number of injuries. The physical friction with state security forces generated intense public scrutiny, leaving the government no choice but to abandon its strategy of simply ignoring the youth-led protests. Following the July 20th clashes, official tactics shifted. Government representatives moved away from outright rejection and began initiating direct talks with CJP leaders. After 26 days without food, Sonam Wangchuk agreed to end his fast on July 24th, following closed-door negotiations with union ministers. However, the broader movement refused to stand down. CJP organizers issued a public ultimatum, insisting the core agitation would persist until the education minister officially stepped down. The split in tactics revealed a critical dynamic. The CJP was no longer reliant on Wangchuk's high-profile involvement. The crowds were being driven by their own decentralized momentum. The standoff ended on July 25th, when the president formally accepted the resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. The bureaucratic fallout was immediate, with the Education Ministry portfolio transferred to Prahlad Joshi as an additional charge. Following the resignation, the Cockroach Janta Party formally called off the agitation, stating they were doing so in good faith. CJP representatives claimed the government had accepted their remaining demands, pointing to assurances that charges against protesters would be dropped, families of victims would receive compensation, and examination reform talks would continue. It is important to note that these are unverified verbal agreements claimed by the participants. They represent promises made in the heat of a crisis, not completed implementations of policy. The immediate crisis has passed. The lingering question is whether an organization built from an internet joke can enforce long-term systemic reform beyond a single cabinet resignation.